So this is RR 8-2018. This is the implementing rules on the tax reform for acceleration and inclusion, otherwise known as TRAIN or RA 10963. So, ang Congress gagawa yan ng batas. Yung tawag doon, substantive law. Paano ipapatupad yan? Ipapasa sa Office of the President. Yung Office of the President, ibababa yan sa departments. Kung taxation yan, sa Department of Finance. Now, yung Department of Finance, ibababa naman yan kung either sa Bureau of Customs or Bureau of Internal Revenues. Or internal revenue siyang topic, bababayan sa BIR. Ang BIR ang gagawa ng implementing rules and regulation. Ang Congress gagawa lang kung ano yung mga karapatan dun sa batas. Yung Executive Department through the BIR, gagawa naman yan kung paano ipapatupad o maibibigay yung benefits ng batas. So, ito yung ating Revenue Regulation 8-2018, implementing the RA number 10963 or the TRAIN law. So we are going to define the terms found in this revenue regulation. Ang term kasi paiba-iba yan ng meaning, depende sa batas na nakapaloob sila. So, ito taxation to, may mga terms na sa ibang pamamaraan ginagamit, sa ibang area of knowledge, pero for taxation purposes, ito yung definition niya. So, compensation income, in general, means all remuneration for services performed by an employee for his employer under an employer-employee relationship, unless specifically excluded by the code. The name by which the remuneration for services is designed is immaterial. Thus, salaries, wages, emoluments, and honoraria, allowances, commissions, fees including director's fees if the director is at the same time an employee of the employer corporation, taxable bonuses, fringe benefits, except those which are subject to the fringe benefit tax under Section 33 of the Tax Code, and the allowable de minimis benefits, taxable pensions, retirement pay, and other income of a similar nature constitute compensation income. So, pinag-aralan na natin dun sa previous yung de minimis benefits, di ba? Hindi siya part ng gross income if within the threshold. In the same manner, yung 90,000 fringe benefits of rank and file employees, hindi rin yung taxable, yung excess lang ng fringe benefit na yun ang masasubject sa tax. Now, yung fringe benefit ng managerial employees, totally out sa computation because these are subject to final tax. Okay? Compensation income earners, individuals whose source of income is purely derived from an employer-employee relationship. Who is an employee? He is an individual performing services under an employer-employee relationship. The term covers all employees, including officers and employees, whether elected or appointed, of the government of the Philippines or any political subdivision thereof, or any agency or instrumentality. So it covers both private and public employees. Kahit na yung mga senador at saka yung mga congressman at presidente, kasama sa definition ng employee. Employer, any person for whom an individual performs or performed any service of whatever nature under an employer-employee relationship. It is not necessary that the services be continuing at the time the wages are paid, in order that the status of employer may exist. Thus, for purposes of withholding, a person for whom an individual has performed past services and from whom he is still receiving compensation is an employer. So, ito for withholding tax purposes lang. So, employer-employee relationship, when is there an employer-employee relationship? Employer-employee relationship exists when a person for whom services were performed has the right to control and direct an individual who performs the services, not only as to the result of the work to be accomplished, but also as to the details, methods, and means by which it is accomplished. An employee is subject to the control of the employer, not only as to what shall be done, but how it shall be done. It is not necessary that the employer actually exercises the right to direct or control the manner in which the services are performed. It is sufficient that there exists a right to control the manner of doing the work. Now, yung example natin dito, yung mga Avon dealers, although they receive regular commissions from the Avon, yung nature ng relationship nila is not an employer-employee relationship because the Avon has no control as to how these dealers are going to sell their products. So, ang karaniwang nagiging problema sa mga dealers and underwriters of insurance, wala silang books of accounts kasi ang akala nila empleyado sila, which is not correct because they are considered as self-employed individuals. So kung self-employed individuals yan, required yan to maintain books of accounts and to file annual income tax return. Akala nila yung commission uh, withholding certificate nila on commission ay final na compliance for taxation, income tax, which is not true. Kaya maraming nape-penalize na mga underwriters and Avon dealers because wala silang books of accounts. Now, fringe benefits means any goods, services, or other benefit furnished or granted in cash or any kind other than the basic compensation by an employer to an individual employee, except rank and file employees as defined therein, such as but not limited to the following. So dito makikita natin, dinefine na yung fringe benefits. Pagka ang tumatanggap ay managerial employees, ang tawag doon ay fringe benefits. Pero pag ang tumatanggap ay rank and file employees, although fringe benefit din yon, ang itatawag doon ay other incentives and benefits. Kasi para ma-distinguish, pag sinabing fringe benefit yan, para sa supervisory and managerial employees yan, subject yan sa final tax. Hindi na magiging bahagi ng gross compensation income niya. Kung tumatanggap niyan ay rank and file employees, then ang tawag diyan ay other incentives and benefits. Okay? So these are the benefits that may be received by managerial and supervisory employees. Housing, expense account, vehicle of any kind, household personnel, such as maid, driver, and others, laundry woman. Interest on loan or at less than market rate to the extent of the difference between the market rate and the actual rate granted. Membership fees, dues, and other expenses borne by the employer for the employee in social and athletic clubs or other similar organizations. Expenses for foreign travel, holiday and vacation expenses, education assistance to the employee or his dependents, and life or health insurance and other non-life insurance premiums or similar amounts in excess of what the law allows. So these are the things that may be included as fringe benefit. What is gross receipts? Gross receipts refers to the total amount of money or its equivalent representing the contract price, compensation, service fee, rental, or royalty, including the amount charged for materials supplied with the services and deposits and advance payments actually or constructively received during the taxable period for the services performed or to be performed for another person, except returnable security deposits for purposes of this regulation. So, in case of VAT taxpayer, this shall exclude the VAT component. So, yung gross receipt natin, tandaan nyo, excluded yung VAT. Kasi yung VAT kasi, hindi part yun ng selling price eh. So, yung gross receipt the part of the selling price. Yung VAT kasi is a part of the collectible by the BIR from the purchaser, which the seller withholds in the meantime. So, gross sales refers to the total sales transaction net of VAT, if applicable, reported during the period without any deduction. However, gross sales subject to the income tax rate option shall be net of the following deduction. So, tandaan natin to ha, kasi ito yung definition ng gross sales. Sa accounting, may definition tayo ng gross sales. Lahat ng sales, di ba? Minus VAT. Dito sa sa train law, ito may specific provision. Gross sales subject to 8% income tax rate option shall be net of the following deductions. So, sales returns and allowances, for which a proper credit or refund was made during the month or quarter to the buyer for sales previously recorded as taxable sales, and discounts determined and granted at the time of sale, which are expressly indicated in the invoice, the amount thereof forming part of the gross sales duly recorded in the books of accounts. Sales discounts indicated in the invoice at the time of sale, the grant of which is not dependent upon the happening of the future event, may be excluded from the gross sales within the same month quarter it was given. Now, take note. Sa accounting, yung gross sales natin is yung kung magkano talaga yung napagbentahan natin. Pag minus natin yung yung sales returns and allowances, magkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na net sales, 'di ba? Gross sales minus sales returns and allowances and sales discount to arrive at net sales. But for taxation purposes, ang meaning ng gross sales ay net sales kasi ima-minus dito yung sales returns and allowances and sales discount. So, magkaiba ng definition ang taxation sa accounting. Sa accounting, ang gross sales kasama lahat, pati returns and allowances. Pag minus mo na yung returns and allowances, you arrive at net sales. Now, pagdating sa taxation, ang meaning ng gross sales ay net sales. For purposes na kino-compute yung 8% income tax rate. Tandaan nyo, ang kino-compute ay based on 8% gross income, gross sales or gross receipt Dalawang klase kasi ng computation ng income ang pwedeng i-avail ng taxpayer. Pwedeng gamitan ito ng graduated tax rate or gamitan ng 8% tax rate. Kapag ang ginamit natin ay graduated tax rate, ang i-apply natin principle ay yung sa accounting. Gross sales minus sales returns and allowances is equal to net sales minus expenses. That is your taxable income. Yun yung isang option. Tapos itong another option, 8% of the net sales. So, minimum wage earner refers to a worker in the private sector who is paid with a minimum statutory wage rates, or to an employee in the public sector with compensation income of not more than the statutory minimum wage rates in non-agricultural sector where the employer is assigned. Such statutory minimum wage rates are exempted from income tax. Likewise, the exemption covers the holiday pay, overtime pay, night shift differential pay, and hazard pay earned by the minimum wage earner. So, ito itong importanteng provision na ito because in the past, palaging iba-iba yung interpretation sa minimum wage earner. During the time of Commissioner Henares, it was ruled that the minimum wage earner will be subject to the tax on his minimum wage kung magkakaroon siya ng business. Kunyari, nagtayo ng sari-sari store yung minimum wage earner, automatic yung kanyang minimum wage magiging covered ng taxation. So, ito yung maganda sa batas na ito kasi dinefine na talaga kung minimum wage earner ka, tax exempt ka. Whatever happens dun sa minimum wage mo or whatever happens to your personal circumstances, yung minimum wage mo, hindi na matatanggal yung benefit nun as being tax exempt. So this is a good provision that eliminates the doubt as to the taxability of minimum wage earned by these people. Mixed income earner, an individual earning compensation income from employment and income from business, practice of profession, and or other sources outside from employment. So, pag meron kang business income, at the same time, compensation income, you are considered as mixed income earner. Kung meron kang compensation sa isang company at meron kang compensation sa ibang company, you are not considered as mixed income earner. Ang tawag lang sa'yo ay with multiple employer. Taxpayer with multiple employer. Kung meron kang business on lingerie and then may business ka on restaurant, you are not a mixed income earner. You are engaged in different kinds of business. You remain as an individual engaged in business or practice of profession, but not mixed income earner. So, pag nagkaroon ng compensation at saka ng business income, doon lang tinatawag na mixed income earner. Non-resident alien engaged in trade or business. So, a non-resident alien engaged in trade or business refers to a non-resident alien who shall come to the Philippines and stay for an aggregate period of more than 180 days during any calendar year. So sa isang taon, nakaipon siya ng 180 days. It doesn't have to be continuous. Hindi kailangang tuloy-tuloy yung stay niya. Pwedeng intermittent, pabalik-balik siya. So, basta makaipon lang siya ng 180 days. Okay? Mako-consider na siya na non-resident alien engaged in trade or business. Kasi merong tax na i-impose sa kanya on all income generated within the Philippines. Non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business refers to a non-resident alien who shall come to the Philippines and stay for an aggregate period of 180 days or less during any calendar year. So, 180 days, I'm sorry dun sa kanina, it should be more than 180 days. So, 181 days pataas. Kasi 180 days pababa, non-resident alien, not engaged in trade or business na siya. Okay, magkaiba kasi ng taxation yon. Iba ng tax rates. Rank and file employee refers to an employee holding neither managerial nor supervisory position as defined under existing provisions of the Labor Code of the Philippines, as amended. Self-employed, a sole proprietor or an independent contractor who reports income earned from self-employment. He controls who he works for, how the work is done, and when it is done. It includes those hired under a contract of service or job order and professionals whose income is derived purely from the practice of profession and not under an employer-employee relationship. So ito yung medyo mahirap sa mga professors kasi noon mag-part-time ka lang considered employment na. So part-time nga lang pero employment Yon. Pero ngayon, kung yung mga CPA kasi magre-retire, katulad namin sa accounting, pag magre-retire kami at gusto pa namin magturo, hindi na kami employee eh. Ano na kami, considered as job order na. So, in the practice of profession kami, then we are going to be required to register with the BIR to keep books of accounts and other requirements for a self-employed. Medyo mahirap na magturo after retirement kasi maraming requirements. So, professional. Who is a professional? A person formally certified by a professional body belonging to a specific profession by virtue of having completed a required examination or course of studies and or practice, whose competence can usually be measured against an established set of standards. It also refers to a person who engages in some art or sport for money as a means of livelihood rather than as a hobby. It includes but is not limited to doctors, lawyers, engineers, architects, CPAs, professional entertainers, artists, professional athletes, directors, producers, insurance agents, insurance adjusters, management and technical consultants, bookkeeping agents, and other recipients of professional, promotional, and talent fees. Okay, taxable income. Gross income minus expenses will be your taxable income. Taxable income refers to the pertinent items of gross income specified in the code, less deductions, if any, authorized for such types of income by the code or other special laws. If we're going to recall yung discussion natin sa lumang tax, applicable din yun sa bagong tax. So, kapag compensation income earner, walang deduction. Kung ano yung compensation earned, yun yung taxable income. When it comes to self-employed and professionals, yung gross income nila will be reduced by allowable deductions, which can be either optional standard deduction or itemized deduction. Now, pag sinabi nating passive income, wala siyang deduction. Parang compensation income din, taxable income na kagad siya. But the compensation income will use the graduated tax rates. Yung passive income, merong specific tax rates na naka-allocate doon sa income na yon. So, kung ano yung income, corresponding tax rate yun. You have to memorize the tax rate. So, pareho lang ng basis. Ngayon sa train law, pareho lang ng basis ang compensation income and passive income, gross receipts lang. Wala nang deduction. Pero nung araw, ang gross compensation income will be reduced by the personal and additional exemption and health insurance premium payments. Nawala na yan sa train law. So, naging pareho na lang ang gross income ng compensation income earner at ng passive income earners. Nagkakaiba na lang sa taxes na gagamitin. Doon sa compensation income, gagamitan ng graduated tax rates. Yung passive income, yung specific tax rate na applicable doon sa passive income na yon. Okay? So, we go to the VAT threshold. VAT threshold refers to the ceiling fixed by law to determine VAT registrable taxpayers. The VAT threshold is currently set at 3 million and the same shall be used to determine the income tax liability of self-employed individuals or professionals na masasubject dun sa 8% gross receipt tax. So, yung mga self-employed individuals, may option silang gumamit ng 8% and graduated tax rates kung ang kanilang registration ay non-VAT at ang kanilang sales ay did not exist 3 million in a year. So, tandaan nyo, yung self-employed individuals may option na gamitin ang 8% gross receipts income tax rate kung hindi VAT registered yung business at ang ang gross receipts ay hindi nag-exceed ng 3 million during the year. Ito yung bagong tax rates sa train law. Take note na itong exemption medyo malaki kumpara dun sa dati, which is 0 to 10,000, 5% na kagad yung tax eh. 0 to 10,000, 5% na kagad yung tax. Pero nung araw, may personal and additional exemption muna na ibabawas. For example, 100,000 yung compensation income. Ay hindi, let's say 300,000 yung compensation income niya. To arrive at the net taxable income, ima-minus yung personal exemption na 50,000. At kung meron siyang 4 na anak, 100,000. At kung meron siyang health insurance premium payments, 2,400. So all in all, merong maximum personal and additional exemptions and health insurance premium deduction na 152,400. That is the maximum. Kasi 100 sa anak, 50 dun sa person niya, at saka 2,004. So 152,000. Yun ang exemption. So pag na-minus mo na yon, taxable net income mo, a-applyan mo na kagad ng 5 to 32% nung araw. Ngayon, 20 to 35%. Ito yung tax rate natin. 20 to 35%. Sa luma, 5 to 32%. So, ito, pero malaki yung tax rate kagad nito, no? 20% kagad. Pero yung exemption nito, malaki. 250 compared sa 152,000. Malaking bagay na yun. So, ito ang tax table na gagamitin for the year 2018 hanggang 2022. After, maganda to kasi automatic yung mababago yung mababago yung tax table. Hindi na kailangan ng congressional act. Ito, effective January 1, 2023, ang magiging tax table naman ito, bumaba. Ito dati 20% ang beginning niya. Ito, 15,000 na lang. So, maganda yon kasi bumaba. Hindi na kailangan ng congressional act. Tapos, 20, 25, 30, nawala yung 32 naman. Yung 35 na kagad. Pero at least yung mga mahihirap, hindi masyadong apektado. Pabor ito sa mahihirap or sa middle income earners. Kasi if ang income, taxable income is 400,000, 15% lang. So, malaking bagay na ito under the train law. I-try nyo nga compute itong income na to and i-apply nyo itong table na to. Yung first table, yung January 1, 2018. Tapos i-chat nyo sa akin in private kung anong sagot nyo. Huwag i-open ha. Tignan ko kung sino nakaintindi sa discussion. How much will be the tax due when the income is 300,000 pesos? Sige, tignan ko kung naintindihan nyo yung gamitin itong table na to. 300,000 ang taxable net income. Magkano ang tax due? Guys, paki-compute nyo nga itong taxable income na to using tables for 2022 and 2023 at isubmit nyo sa ating GC. Thank you. That will be part of your sit work. God bless everyone.